So looking around the room, we have 9 guys, 7 girls. We could have the bar graph go up to 9, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. So we could go 0 and then put a 9 at the top. What I would do is I would pick for a maximum a number that you can easily divide up. Have we been doing that this year? What? I'm getting you guys in my other classes confused. Okay, so we have up to 9 people. So you could have the top of your graph be 9. And then if you're going to do that, what I would do is you can easily divide 9 by 3. Because I found if I go through and say, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, I'm going to be way off by the end. So what I try doing is pick a number for the top that I can break up. And 9 I can break into 3, so I'm going to guess that's about 1/3. And if I cut that other part in half, that's like the other one. So now I have like my 3 and my 6. And now I can take and break that 0 to 3. Well, I could put in a 1 and a 2. I could put in a 4 and a 5. I could put in a 7 and an 8. Good for that? I found I can estimate about up to 5 and feel pretty good about myself. So I would either do like this 9, or maybe I would have gone up to 10. And then, so I wouldn't write this down. I'll try to erase it all soon. But if I were to say, well, we have 9 people, but I can break up 10 easier, I put in the 10, then I say right in the middle is 5, maybe a little bit low. And then I'm pretty good at saying that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Make sense? But I would pick some number for the numerator that, bless you, you can pretty easily go through and kind of break it up into other things. So, all right, now for males, we said we had 9 guys in class, so I'm going to make my bar go up to the 9. I'm a little bit off center for my male category, but there's a method to the madness. And for girls, we said we had 7, so females, we have 7. So then I'm kind of visually saying, okay, well, I'll go across that 7 mark and make a bar that goes up to the 7. Does that look pretty standard? You've been doing those for a few years. You're pretty comfortable? Any questions? The reason I stuck mine a little bit off to the side is sometimes you do what's called a double bar graph. And you could do this in 2 colors. You could do a pencil and you could do a pen. You could take and fill them in somehow. So maybe like say, all right, I'm going to take and fill this one in this way. But if, say, you want to have like 2 different categories of males and 2 categories of females, you could do something like, well, my filled in one is going to be students. And you put a little label off on the side. Often they call that a legend, students. And then you could take and either in a different color or a different pattern, you could do polka dots. You could say staff or teachers or something like that, or young people and really old people or something along those lines. But for staff then, we're going to have a bar under the male category. I'll throw that out there so nobody disses me in front of everyone. But then we have just 1 in the room, so kind of still under the male things. You could either fill it in. I guess maybe I won't fill it in. I'll have like a non-filled in. But I also did the 2 different colors. So just the blue by itself is a bar graph. When the book starts talking about double bar graphs, that's going to be where each category on the x-axis has possibly 2 bars in the category. How are we doing? Good? All review, I'm guessing? I think it's all review. So okay. For the setting a scale, that's kind of what I was saying before. So you could write it, you could not write it, but I tend to be kind of a picky punk a little bit with like the scale. So when you do a graph, I'm going to be looking at, well, does your scale make sense? Is your axis reasonably well evenly spaced? You know, you don't have to get out a ruler and actually have it be like every 2 millimeters is this. But make it look like you put some effort into it and try to be as reasonably close as possible. But for setting scale, these are my hints. I'd say first, look at the range. Look at the range of values before starting. The people that I found do the worst, do what I did for a while, is they'll say, okay, I have numbers. They kind of start at 0 and they put in their 0 and they start doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And sometimes when you do that, you run out of space and you find it's like, oh, I'm running into the problem above it. And then do you start over? Do you just do like a big pencil line that, and I've had that on tests and quizzes before where somebody like totally decimates my here's the spot for your answer, and they're going like 3 problems above it, writing over answers, and it's just ugly and bad. But for me then, I do that, and then I also encourage you to pick a top number. Maybe I'll say maximum. You guys are my advanced class. My advanced 7th grade math class. Pick a maximum, pick a top number that's greater than or equal to the largest data. And I'm going to say, in that top number, that you can divide nicely. So those are kind of my 2 hints on the setting scale. We okay on the first Roman numeral? And after my long diatribe about giving space and interrupting other things, I just noticed now that I didn't leave enough space in my note outline for this. Oops. It's a problem with getting the notes the first time around. So, but line graph. Line graph shows change in time. So a lot of times when you have a line graph, it's going to be, I totally made this up. This really doesn't have a whole lot to do with my bank account other than I did buy a bike in July, so my bank account did drop in July, kind of like this one did. But so my bank account, something like this here, it goes up and down. We get paid, it goes up. I buy something for my mom, put it on my credit card, she writes me a check. I deposit check, it goes up. Credit card bill comes due with my new bike on it, it goes down, and so on. So it's kind of something like this. You could say this is Mr. Falk's bank account balance for the summer. And basically as time goes by, and you could have like June 1, June 2, June 3, June 4, June 5, but it's kind of like time's going by as you go to the right, and as time is going by, the value, the amount of money is going up and down in my account. Good? And with that, it's possible to have like a double line graph. So if we were to look at, somebody else's account, maybe this would be the people at the bike store, but for them, well, one, it'd probably be a lot higher than mine. But it's possible to say if this here is kind of a bluish color, you could put in so this is Falk. Maybe take that out, just bank account balance then. But then you could put in a different person, such as, any of you?
Jake likes to work there.
I don't know, we'll say Al. Why not? But so Al then, his bank account's probably going to be doing something different. Maybe it stays the same, then he gets paid and it jumps up. And then he gradually starts spending the money, finds some girl that he likes and starts wooing her. She breaks up with him because he's almost out of money and he's gradually making more money. I don't know, but you could have one set of data now with this graph that you could look at, well, what's happening to Falk's balance and what's happening to Al's balance as the summer goes by.
How much did he spend on that girl?
He spent a lot on this girl. He really wined and dined her, and then she broke his poor little heart and sent him into his bitter years. As my friends say a girl did to me. But okay. Any questions? We should stop.